Hi friends, today we'll be talking about the modern day rat race that has troubled people for generations. It's a cycle that keeps us busy, constantly chasing more, yet somehow leaving many of us feeling empty. We'll explore why we feel so trapped in this way of living, and what we can learn from the wisdom of the past generations about living a more meaningful life. And together, we'll discover that true freedom is about changing the way we think, what we value, and how we choose to live each day. Let's get started.
Day after day, we keep running, waking up to alarms, rushing through traffic, working long hours just to keep up with a life we barely have time to live. It looks normal on the outside, responsible and even. But underneath, it feels like something is slowly slipping away. Energy fades, time disappears, and the things that once mattered quietly get pushed aside. We tell ourselves it's temporary, that one day it will all make sense. But what if it doesn't? What if this constant cycle isn't leading anywhere at all, except further away from the life you actually want to live?
The reason you cannot escape the rat race has nothing to do with your income, your job, or your circumstances. The reason you cannot escape is inside you. And that is actually the most liberating news you will ever receive. Because what lives inside you, only you can change it. Imagine a man. He wakes before dawn, not because his soul called him, but because his alarm did. He pours his coffee, prepares himself, and gets ready to go off to work. He drives the same road, past the same buildings, to the same desk. He works hard, he works late, he earns, he spends. He earns more, he spends more. He tells himself, next year will be different. Next challenge, next hope, next milestone. And somewhere deep inside, beneath the performance reviews, the mortgage statements, and the carefully curated social media posts, a voice speaks, very quietly. Is this it? That voice is not weakness. It is not ingratitude. That voice is wisdom. The wisdom of the inner truth that knows it was made for more than a treadmill. And today, we follow that voice across the spiritual, the emotional, and the philosophical landscape of the human experience. Because in those landscape lies the truth most people never discover.
Now let's meet Ethan. His story is not unique because it is just yours and mine. The story of every human being who has ever felt the gap between the life they are living and the life they know is possible. Ethan is not a failure. He is, by every external measure, a success. He has the job, he has the apartment, he has the savings account and the LinkedIn profile that others admire. But at 5 p.m., after work, when the notifications have stopped and the performance is over, Ethan stares at the ceiling and feels something he cannot name. A hollowness, a restlessness, a quiet, persistent grief for a version of himself he has never quite become. The rat race did not capture Ethan in a single moment. It happened gradually, one reasonable sacrifice at a time. One just this year. One I will rest when I retire. Until the cage was complete, and Ethan had built every bar around him, himself. So how does he escape? How do you escape? Not by running faster in a different direction, but by understanding the design of the prison itself.
The rat race is, at its deepest level, a fundamentally an existential crisis, disguised as a self-defeating, endless pursuit of financial, competitive, or status-driven goals. Ancient wisdom traditions have always taught one principle with absolute clarity. The external world is a reflection of the internal world. The Vedas call this Maya, the illusion that material accumulation will bring lasting peace. Not because possessions are evil, but because they are impermanent. And a life built entirely on the impermanent can never feel stable, no matter how much you acquire. The first spiritual key is a word: contentment. Not resignation, not the passive acceptance of a small life, but the radical recognition that true wealth is not having more, it is needing less. The Bhagavad Gita taught it. The Stoics lived by it. Every tradition that has ever examined the human condition arrived at this same truth. The man who has conquered desire is richer than the man who has conquered continents. Ethan had been chasing for more than a decade. The invitation was to practice enough. The second key is presence. The rat race lives in only two places of our thoughts: the future, where success is always just one more achievement away, and the past, where regret builds into walls. The present moment is the only geography where peace exists, and most people visit it only by accident, in a sudden rainstorm, in the arms of someone they love, in the moment before sleep. Ethan began a practice. Simple, uncomfortable, transformative. 10 minutes each morning in silence. No phone, no agenda. Just breathing. Just being. The ancient practice of dharana, focused attention on the present, is not mysticism. It is the most practical tool a human being possesses. And the third spiritual key is the most counterintuitive shift of all, from success to service, from how can I get ahead to how can I help. Every great spiritual teacher, from Krishna to Rumi to the Buddha, described this pivot as the entry point into a meaningful life. Not because ambition is wrong, but because ambition without purpose is an engine without a destination. The Bhagavad Gita's teaching of karma yoga, acting without desperate attachment to outcomes, is precisely this freedom. Do your work, do it fully, do it well, but release the white-knuckled grip on results. That release is where the rat race loses its power over you. That release is where Ethan first tasted freedom, not by having less work, but by holding his work differently. But Ethan's escape was not only spiritual, it was deeply, painfully emotional. Because the rat race is not just an economic system, it is an emotional ecosystem. One built on two of the most powerful forces in human psychology: fear and comparison. Fear of being left behind, fear of not being enough, fear of what people will think if you choose differently. And comparison, that relentless, exhausting habit of measuring the inside of your life against the carefully constructed outside of everyone else's. The ego defines itself through contrast. It needs to be better than, richer than, more successful than. And as long as the ego governs your decisions, you cannot leave the race, because the ego is the race. It designed the track, constructed the rules. It tells us that slowing down means falling behind, and that falling behind means losing our worth. The first emotional key is this: discovering yourself, your true identity, and your nature. You cannot be measured through your job title or your income, neither through your productivity score or your quarterly review. The Bhagavad Gita makes the most radical claim imaginable, that you are a soul, the eternal witnessing self, temporarily wearing the costume of a professional. Your value is not earned, it is intrinsic. It existed before your first paycheck, and it will endure long after your last. Ethan spent years wearing a mask, the mask of desire to control everything, the mask of a man who never needed help and never showed weakness. Taking that mask off was not a single dramatic moment. It was 1,000 small moments of choosing authenticity, choosing to admit that he was exhausted and lost, choosing slowly and imperfectly to let his heart lead, not his fear. The second emotional key is building resilience, the genuine resilience of sitting with uncertainty. The path outside the rat race is not predictable. Income fluctuates, approval disappears. The identity you carefully constructed slowly dissolves, and that feels terrifying. But Ethan discovered what the Stoics knew and the yogis breathed. Comfort with discomfort is the most powerful skill a human being can develop. Not to enjoy suffering, but to stop being controlled by the fear of it. Because when the fear of uncertainty no longer governs your choices, you are finally free to make real ones. And saving money,
building a small buffer of time, reduces that fear enough to act. Not to eliminate risk, but to meet it with open hands rather than clenched fists. And yet, the deepest prison is not emotional. The deepest prison is philosophical. Because until you examine the ideas you have inherited about what a good life looks like, you will rebuild the same cage in a different city with a different job title on the door.
The rat race is not merely a bad habit. It is a philosophical system, one with assumptions so deep that most people never think to question them, until the questioning is the only thing left. The first philosophical shift is redefining wealth itself. We have been taught by culture through generations that wealth is accumulation. More money, more property, more possessions, a bigger house, a faster car, a longer list of things acquired. We willingly traded the only non-renewable resource we possessed, that is time, for the resources we could not take along with us to our graves. The famous book Psychology of Money brings us to a conclusion that true wealth is time freedom, the ability to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want. Ethan realized sitting in a hospital waiting room as his father recovered from a heart attack brought on by decades of overwork, that he had been making exactly that trade. Every hour of overtime, every canceled holiday, every morning surrendered to someone else's agenda. He had been selling time, and time, unlike money, cannot be earned back. The second philosophical shift is from becoming to being. The rat race is a relentless loop of becoming richer, more successful, more impressive, more deserving of rest. But there is no arriving in the loop of becoming, because the moment you achieve one milestone, the next appears, and the destination perpetually recedes. The sages called this samsara, the endless cycle of craving and achieving and craving again. Being is different. Being means inhabiting this moment, this version of yourself, this life, fully and without apology. Not because growth is wrong, but because growth rooted in presence is real growth. Growth rooted in anxiety about the future is simply running faster on the same treadmill. Ethan stopped planning his escape and started living differently today. One morning of silence, one honest conversation, one small decision aligned with his values rather than his fear. And the third philosophical key, drawn from Stoic philosophy, is the radical reduction of need. Seneca wrote, "A person becomes stronger the less they need from the world, not as deprivation, but as liberation. Every external desire you release is a chain you remove. Every comparison you surrender is a weight you set down." The Stoics were not pessimists. They were extraordinarily free because they had located their happiness somewhere no external event could reach. Now, because wisdom without application is beautiful but incomplete, let us bring this into the practical world. Because the escape begins in philosophy, but it is built in daily action. Step 1. Decluttering everything, not as aesthetic minimalism, but as a spiritual act. Physical clutter is a mirror of mental clutter. Ethan spent one weekend removing everything from his home that he did not use, love, or truly need. The result was not just a cleaner space, it was a quieter mind. The principle of non-possessiveness is not poverty, it is precision, keeping only what truly serves the life you're choosing to live. Step 2. Pay yourself first. The financial principle from Rich Dad Poor Dad is, at its core, a spiritual act of self-respect. Automate your savings before the system claims your earnings. Reducing expenses is not sacrifice, it is the purchase of time. Every unit of currency saved is a unit of freedom stored. Ethan automated 20% of his income the week after that hospital visit. He barely noticed it was gone, but over months, it rebuilt his options and his courage. Step 3. Build the bridge before you burn it. Do not quit on emotion. Begin your passion project, your side business, your creative work while still employed. The bridge matters. Ethan spent 8 months building his before he crossed it. Those months were not delay, they were incubation. A life genuinely different from the one you have lived cannot be rushed, but it can be patiently, deliberately constructed. Step 4.
Rebel in small ways every single day. Say no to the social obligation that drains you without giving anything back. Spend 30 minutes in nature. Choose a quiet morning over a social media feed. These small rebellions are not trivial. They are the daily practice of choosing yourself. And every choice made in alignment with your values strengthens the muscle of freedom. Until one day, that muscle is strong enough to carry you somewhere entirely new.
Ethan's story is not extraordinary. It is quietly, persistently human. He did not escape the rat race in a single dramatic moment. He escaped it in 1,000 ordinary ones. In the morning silence, in the honest conversation, in the notebook where he wrote his sacred intention every day for 6 months, in the first time he said no to an opportunity that paid well but cost too much of himself, in the walk he took instead of the meeting he skipped, in the evening he spent with his father, speaking the words that had waited too long to be said. The rat race is not defeated by running faster in the opposite direction. It is dissolved, gently, deliberately, irreversibly, by choosing a different kind of life. Not a perfect life, not a life without challenge or uncertainty or hard work, but a life where you set the terms, where time is your currency, where your worth is never again for sale, where the voice that wakes you is your own soul and not someone else's alarm. So I want to leave you with this, friends. Somewhere right now, perhaps very much like Ethan, there is a version of you sitting at a desk that feels like a cage, working hard at something that fills the calendar but quietly empties the soul, slowly snatching your real life to some future moment when the conditions will finally be right. The conditions will never be perfect, but you, right now, exactly as you are enough to begin. The spiritual traditions and the philosophers and the psychologists all arrived at the same place. The quality of your life is the quality of your choices, and the most important choice you will ever make is not which job to take or which investment to pursue. It is the choice of which values will govern everything else. The cage is not locked from the outside. The rat race does not hold you. The story you tell about it does. And stories can always be rewritten. Starting with one morning of silence, with one honest conversation with yourself, with one small no to what drains you, and one small yes to what lights something up inside. The escape from the rat race begins not with a destination, but with a direction, inward. Tell me in the comments, if time and not money were your true measure of wealth, what would you do differently tomorrow? I would love to walk that question with you. Stay curious, stay soulful, and I will see you in our next exploration, where ideas meet art, and art meets the soul.
If this stirred something within you, don't ignore it. This is your moment to go deeper. If you truly want to break free, not just externally, but from within, then the next step matters. Because awareness alone is not enough. Transformation requires action. So next, if you want to learn the 7 habits and personality traits you must start working on right now to reach the innermost core of your true, most powerful self, watch the next video on the right. That video is your roadmap, your next step. Don't wait. Step into it now.